Yeah, that's why I'm starting the record button because people need to know.
People, people, someone's gonna get
People.
upset. You people need to know.
That's right, you people. And I mean that in the most vulgar, disgusting use of the word you people. Putting hot sauce on your food, wearing tuxedo t shirts.
With leather jackets.
Man, I ain't no shame in it. I'm probably going to have to put that photo up now because I took a picture of it in the mirror in the hotel room that I was in. And I
Yeah.
did it in like the most retarded way. Like, like I posed like it was what was that one Motley Crue cover, Too Fast for Love? That's just like the hand right next to the really tight pants. By the way, I found really tight yellow pants, so I wore those too. One of my buddies said you look like the man in the yellow hat with a leather jacket on from Curious George. He's like, you look like Curious George's owner with a leather jacket on. I'm like, yes.
Oh man. Well, that is a picture that I can't see. Apparently, for everybody who watches this later, I can't see Steve at all.
I'm really sorry for that. And I'm going to have to figure that the hell out because that's.
I feel like I'm having a podcast with someone who left their lens cap on.
I definitely didn't. I can see myself in this,
Yeah, it's just
which
super
is.
awkward for me because now I feel like I'm in a video or like a conference call, and I'm the only person that put their video on.
Well, when this does come out and you can see it, you'll be like, hey,
Oh, look at that
that's what that idiot looks like.
that tuxedo T-shirt.
You're going to be like, I'm going to need me one of those.
Yeah.
I'm going to need me one of those.
So as I was like when you guys asked me to do this, and obviously you reached out and you were like, here's a sample, right? Just in case you want to run or, or whatever you said. Of course, I watched it, and I don't remember the name of the gentleman you had on, that very quiet gentleman, um, who he had that neat fact about 22 people a year die from cow attacks. And I feel like that is a really amazing statistic.
It is. More
Yeah.
people die by cows worldwide than sharks.
Yeah. And it's crazy, right? And felt so proud of that. I put that up on Twitter, X, whatever. And then a Canadian asked me, and I was like, you know what? I should know that because now I live in Canada. I should know how many, not really my countrymen. I'm still, from the States. But now that I reside here, I want to know how many Canadians die a year. And that I could not find that statistic. But I did divided it by population, right? Because the U.S. dwarfs
Yes.
Canada by population, right?
Uh-huh.
By the population, 3.14 people a year die in Canada. So pi people die in Canada a year by a cow
From
attack
cows.
from cows, and I just think that's weird. That's like the gates to hell open. 3.14, you know,
So you're
pi.
basically proving South Park correct that Canada is the Antichrist and they're going to start World War III.
According to how many people die by cow attacks here a year, yes.
Nice. So what part of Canada are you in?
I am dude. I'm like right across the river from Ottawa, so technically, I'm in Quebec. Right.
Okay.
So that's an adventure. That's an adventure all in itself. Being a very, very, I can barely speak Spanish guy from the U.S. coming to a place where not like they don't like to speak English,
Yep.
even though it's an English speaking country. It's very strange. It is very strange where it's like most people here speak English, but like the premier, right? It's kind of weird. Like, so by provinces here, kind of like states, right?
Yep.
Like the governor of the state. So the premier of the province of Quebec is very anti-anglophone. So like they're trying to like get all English speakers to get the hell out, right? So they're passing a whole bunch of like pretty racist laws or whatever. It's not racist. We're English speakers are not a race, but they hate English speakers to so it's like they're passing laws. So if you go into a government building, they will no longer speak to you in English, right? So
Even though Canada has the law that they have to be dual francophone and anglophone in government buildings.
right. So they
Yep.
like so now they won't even hire people that speak English in Quebec for government positions, right? So going to the DMV, right? Which
Uh-huh.
this is awesome. This is like super awesome. So the DMV here is called the SAAQ. So I don't know, probably something automobile Quebec, right? And the liquor store here is the SAQ. So minus one A. Like you combine these two, you're in a world of trouble. Anyway, so like they will only speak English to you if you have a um, a card that says you're exempt, right? Like, but so I don't obviously have a card saying I'm exempt, but my passport said, "Oh, this guy's exempt," which was nice because I was like terrified because I had to go get my when I drove my truck up from Colorado. I still had my Colorado plates. You know, obviously my registration expired. I had to import my truck and all that, and I had to get Quebec plates. So I was like dreading going to the DMV or whatever. But they're like, you need two forms of identification. Brought my driver's license from Florida and my passport, and they're like, okay, you're exempt. Like they just looked at it right away. I'm like, okay. I was like, oh, awesome, because I was so worried because I'm like, I don't speak, you know, we. There we go. But
I know like a few words in French, and one of them is croissant, and I'm sure I slaughter it to them.
it's super strange too because so there's the Quebecois accent,
Mm-hmm.
right, which is very strange for my time here. Like Francais de France, I think is how they pronounce it. It would be oui, right? Like everybody's heard
Right.
the French say oui. Here it's ouin, right? So
Yeah.
like if you, it almost sounds like a duck. Like if you're really really annoyed and saying yes in Quebecois, that's ouin. And so it's very strange. So it's like it's just it's like the same language, but the dialect is so different from like someone from like a Parisian accent to uh Quebecois. Yeah,
Oh
very
no, I
interesting.
do. I do travel for work. I do environmental cleanup, and
Oh wow.
we had a site in northern Quebec in Seguini, I believe was the name of the place. It's like way the fuck up there. It's like the last outpost of civilization from the guys that went up there. I couldn't get in because of NAFTA. Because
Oh,
like
okay.
according to NAFTA, I'm just a laborer, so they had to like prove that a Canadian laborer couldn't do my job, and I got to argue with the border police a bunch of times, and it didn't go in the company's favor. That's a
Yeah.
different story. But
The
one
border
of the
is
guys
not
that used to work with us, he is from like northern Africa originally, like one of the French colonies, moved to
okay.
France, spoke French. Like his family moved here, and then like we hired him like straight out of college. Great kid,
Yeah.
like solid guy that I liked. And he went up to that site, and like he came back and like he was telling me and like a couple other people was like they don't speak French there. I'm like what? And like he had
Oh
to
wait,
explain it all to me. I'm like oh okay.
they were like if it's that for I'm assuming it was like indigenous, right?
Well, he like spoke like French. Is that the
Right.
proper word? Is
Oh, okay. So
French
it
from
was
France,
okay. So it was
and
Quebecois
he like
French.
Yeah, he described it as like pig French.
Okay.
Like
Ooh.
it'd be like a lower form, like so it's like how people from England think of Southerners talking. He's like, yeah, kinda. I'm like, interesting.
Oh wow. I see. I've never heard a person from England describe a Southerner saying that. Wow. Well, that's interesting.
I mean, think of a person from England talking to like a Southerner.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I want to go with like Bayou, because Bayou Southerner is more French. So
Right.
I'm just gonna go with a classic like
Southern
Georgia,
drawl.
North Carolina,
Yeah. A
because
Southern.
I spent a lot of time living in North Carolina, and whew, there are
Okay.
some accents you got to learn there.
Right. When I was living in Kentucky, there was the chair, rat chair, right?
Mhm.
that was I always got a kick out of that when I lived in the South because it was the wherever I was, whatever small town, they acted like the locals acted like there was like one location for the thing, like it was the only like the it was the Walmart.
Yeah,
Like it was the only one in the world. And I
they
was just
talk
like,
like that in
I
my
was getting a
hometown
kick
in New
out of
York
it.
State.
Really?
Yes. Well,
Wait,
it's
so
not just my town. Like the Buffalo, New York area refers to things as that. So I-90, which goes through it, is the 90.
dude, we
Then
should have done
like
this in person. That's like a hop, skip, and a jump from where I'm at.
I'm also in Alabama for work right now.
Oh, okay. You're on the road. Yeah, wow, you do podcasts from the road.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
no, I figured it out.
You got that the all classy setup that doesn't allow your
Yeah.
guests to look upon your
I'm gonna have to figure that one out because like
your
I just bought a new webcam because I don't like the one that's on my laptop. Like it just makes me look grainy and bad.
yeah.
So I'm like, so I just bought that and like I don't know. So I'm gonna see if like I do switch. If you can see,
So
let's fucking try something.
primarily this is like a military podcast, right?
Primarily, it's just me trying to enjoy myself. It just so happened I picked all of my buddies who I was in the military with, or well, there's one guy who I went to high school with who's my really good friend, and he
Okay.
also went military.
Oh, okay.
But also, I did one really good friend of mine who's I've known forever since we were like four. And if you were to look at me and him, he is a big, giant dude,
Okay.
like big, happy, hippie dude. And I'm this short, little, muscular metalhead. And he like moved out to Washington, or not Washington, Oregon, because weed's legal out there. Lived in a bunch of weed legal states, and then New York started doing the it's going to legalize things. So he moved back because he wanted to get in on the industry here, and he was
Sick.
telling me about it, and I was curious because it's my state.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to know.
No.
And then my girlfriend's roommate is also kind of in that wheelhouse, and but she's also a vegan who is like hardcore into like food health and like how the food is killing you, and you should like look for this, and that. So I did one with her too because like I was just super interested, and she got into it because she used to live out in Colorado, and she was messing around on an ATV and had an accident with a severe brain injury and used food and weed to heal herself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she like got off all the hardcore meds that they had her on to like keep her regulated and normal, and like she got herself off, and she's doing great.
No, that's great. Well, good for
Yeah.
her. That's exciting.
Mhm.
The medicinal. I've heard a lot of people the medicinal use of like proper nutrition and all that of like people that like I had one friend that got cancer and then he's just like going on he just juiced and he was like he would juice all his vegetables and everything like that and like it went into remission.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but or watch him he was lying to me and he never had cancer and just was like in a juicing fad.
Uh, that'd be a hell of a thing to lie about. But you never know. I mean,
We weren't that close. Wait, like I said, he was we're friends for the podcast sake, but he was more like an
yeah.
acquaintance.
Well, it's like in the 90s and like the 80s when all those fitness ladies were like, looking hot in the leotards and stuff, and they're like selling their infomercial VHS tapes of whatever, and like, just do this exercise and you'll look like me. It's like, pretty sure you're getting lipo, lady. Like, there's no way. Which was
Oh,
also
the
the
80s.
plot of that one Reese Witherspoon movie where she's a ditzy blonde lawyer. What
Legally
was that one?
Blonde.
Yes,
Yeah. Is Reese Witherspoon still alive? Did she
I
die?
do believe so.
Okay. I don't know who I'm thinking of, but
Jane Fonda?
no, I know Jane Fonda's still alive.
Sadly.
um. Well, okay. How about this? Because you the military podcast and me being kind of a military, like I don't know anything about it. What's one surprising fact that you would tell a non-military person about being in the military?
Boot camp is the easy part.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, see, you blew my mind. Because
Yep.
that's like all the movies show military where it's like they just yell at you. Drill sergeant yells at you, and it's hell.
Yeah, it's so Full Metal Jacket like really sold that one,
Yeah,
and like a lot of movies have tried to play off that ever since. And you do know that the guy who played the senior or the main drill instructor in that movie actually was a drill instructor.
right.
So, he's a very famous Marine, Arlie Ermy. And uh yeah, he just went with it. Stanley Kubrick let him, and like he just did that. But yeah, I would say that it was the easy part because if you know how to like shut your mouth and do what you're told
Yeah.
and do it faster and then realize that they're always going to nitpick something and like they're just trying to create stress. It's an artificial stress environment.
Hmm.
So they're just trying to create stress. And then the other thing they're really trying to teach you is how to properly wear the uniform. Like they want you to look good in uniform more than they want anything else in boot camp because it's about like strictness and standards. So that's what they're teaching you. They're not actually teaching you how to fight or anything. It's very wonderful brainwashing. I learned so much about Marine Corps history that I did not know existed. Um, and then, and there's actually a ton of it. And yeah, and as soon as you like get done with it after 3 months in the Marine Corps, 2 months in the Army, and Army and Navy is 2 months. I think Air Force is like 6 weeks. But oh, and I can't forget the Coast Guard. My buddy will get mad at me. I don't forget how long theirs is. Probably close to 2 to 3 months, somewhere in there. They actually
Yeah.
have the second hardest,
Yeah,
the Coast Guard.
the Coast Guard. Really?
Oh yeah,
But
Coast Guard has the second
what
hardest.
about Space Force?
They go to Air Force boot camp
Okay.
because the Air Force or the Space Force is a part of the Air Force. So they're using a lot of Air Force stuff until they can stand up more on their own. Because I don't even know if they have more than 10,000 people yet.
I was literally wondering like the other day. I'm like, whatever. Is that still a thing? Like, was
It
that
is still a thing. They're in
okay?
charge of satellites, space command, and all that stuff. Like
Okay.
it makes sense why they split them off.
Does it? Okay.
Yes, they split them off to um, focus on that core competency so the Air Force can focus on their core competency, which is air superiority, instead of having to do air superiority and space superiority. So they can both just focus on those things. And then all the other branches had like very small outcroppings too of like that space command thing. So
Right.
they just pulled everyone from that and put them in there. So there's like people that would have been in the Marines or the Navy space command area. Like if you were to think about it like an intelligence community, so like everyone has their own little intelligence, military intelligence things. Like if they were to take them all and just make a military intelligence force,
Right.
that's pretty much what they did with Space Force.
Okay. All right. Well then, okay. So sorry, I'm look. I know this is usually with these like the guest gets all the questions, but I have so many. Then,
Fucking
if you
fire
don't
away, bro.
mind, like
Yeah,
imagine just
man.
for the layman out there. So then, if boot camp is the easy part,
Yes.
then what is the hard part?
So after boot camp for the Marine Corps, I'll speak to this because I know it. Then you get 1 week off, and then you go back to training for a month. And if you're infantry, you go to the School of Infantry where you learn how to do that, walk around with a heavy pack and shoot guns.
Okay.
If you're any if you're anything else, you go to Marine combat training where you get a condensed version of that.
Okay.
So that if any given time something bad happens, you cannot say, I didn't know what to do. And like basically the line is every Marine is a rifleman. That gives you the right to say every Marine is a rifleman.
Okay.
A lot of people would disagree with that. Uh, and
Wait. Well, okay. So when you say like infantry, but what else? Like the Marines are that's a crossover, right? Because you also do water.
we come in on water, but
Okay.
the other thing you probably don't know is that the Marine Corps is not their own branch.
Okay. See, I didn't know that. No, I
They are
definitely.
the Marine Corps is a department of the Navy.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay. So
So
because you hear about like the Navy SEAL program, right?
yes, that
And
is a
then
program.
Marines. So can Navy SEALs also be Marines?
Mm, I think if a Marine wanted to join the Navy SEALs, because we have our own Special Operations Command, the Marine Raiders.
Okay.
So that's MARSOC, Marine Special Operations Command. They go to the Raiders.
Okay.
And the Navy has their own, the SEALs. So if you wanted to join the SEALs, you'd have to wait for your enlistment to end, join the Navy, and then get into the SEAL pipe.
Oh wow. So this is like way more. So this is way more detailed than any layman would ever know. I would assume because I didn't know that it wasn't its own branch, being the Marines. So the
It
Marines
is, but it
in the
isn't.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Like,
it's all Navy. But so like then what's the specialization of a Marine versus of a SEAL?
it's like a general infantry Marine.
I don't know.
Or
See, that's why I'm saying I
because
don't
the
know
Marine
anything.
Corps
That's why I'm
literally
asking.
has everything.
Okay.
I didn't even work on ground side, which is like tanks, artillery, um, motor transportation, infantry, or anything like that. I was in the air wing. I worked on aircraft.
To see, so to me, I'd be like, so the Air Force, but that's not true.
No. So you've seen Top Gun, right?
Uh, maybe.
You're at least mildly
I've
aware of the movie
definitely
Top Gun.
played. I've definitely played the song.
Even better. All right,
Yes.
so you know that there's aircraft carriers, right?
Oh, yes.
All right, so those aircraft carriers, they can hold a bunch of aircraft.
Okay. Right.
Some of those are Navy aircraft, some of them are Marine aircraft. Well, they can also hold a shit ton of people.
Right.
And all of those people are a lot of Navy, and then they'll just pack a bunch of Marines on it too. It's called a Marine Expeditionary Unit.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
So that's how they
there's
like, they'll be
there's
like, oh, we got like,
intermingling.
yeah. So they're
Okay.
like, we got like 5 ships parked off the coast of Yemen right now, or whatever they got because of the Houthis. And, there's like a Marine Expeditionary Unit on board, like just waiting to be like, let me at them because I just missed the last war and I'm ready for this one. Bunch of little 18 to 22-year-old kids who are just bloodthirsty and ready to get after it.
I'm away from home. I need something to do. Let me shoot something.
Well, they're sitting on a boat, not able to drink, sitting in those. You have to look it up. It's called a coffin rack, the Navy rack system inside
Oh,
berthing.
right.
It's like 3 racks high. Like you can barely turn over in it. And then like you have to lift up the thing to get it into your storage area. And you can like trap your friends in there. It's fucked up but fun until it happens to you. And yeah, so they're just like bored off their ass, sitting in berthing, like done watching all their movies. Like you can only smoke at certain times in certain areas on the ship. And they're like, you're not allowed to dip on here. And by God, every Marine is dipping there too. Like they are like, so they're just going nuts, going, let me off and let me kill something.
Ah, well,
Unless they go on a port call. And then the really fun thing is, fuck, what country was it? And it happened a few years ago. So they dropped a ship full of Marines off on port call. I forget if it was Ireland or Iceland. And they drank the capital out of booze.
it's like 70,000 tons. They ran out of booze before they left port.
Oh, that's fantastic. That actually happened.
Yeah, I think that was the first year.
Yeah, they learned their lesson quick then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I was looking at going to the one this year, and I'm also vehemently opposed to cruises. And then it sold out in like 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not going.
Is I mean, I didn't even see. I'm so out of the loop with that stuff. I didn't even know everything anything was on sale yet. So
I was thinking about it because it's been a while since I've seen Lamb of God, and I'm like, I want to see Lamb of God again. That sounds great.
yeah,
Because I
just
didn't.
go on the Lamb of God boat.
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, they have their own cruise now.
Oh, I thought they were on 70,000 tons of metal.
I don't know. I mean, I
I don't
did
know.
like I said,
Never.
I don't really pay attention to 70,000 tons, but uh, yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, maybe they just really like cruises, but yeah, they have their own. They had the Lamb of God boat last year.
That'd be so cool to see.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't want to pay to see them with Pantera. I'm like, that's too much money.
How much are tickets for that?
So I know my buddy went over the summer. He saw them in Virginia Beach, and I forget the absurd amount that he paid. And I'm like, no.
There's a cap because like there was a I remember when Rush came around and they were playing at Red Rocks, and I'm like, oh, I
Mhm.
really want to go to that show, but it was like I think it was like $130, and I'm a broke musician, so that's immediately I'm like, no, not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like that's just too much. So if it's like I which now I'm like maybe I would. Maybe and I'm older now, I work more regularly now that we've had some time off the road. So I'm like, okay, I could possibly do that. But but I don't know. Like what's the level of acceptability for what's the max you would
Depends
pay
on
to
the
go to a
band.
show?
Depends on the undercards of the band, too,
Right.
and how far away it is. So,
Okay.
like, I live near Buffalo, and by near, I mean I'm an hour away.
Okay.
So, Buffalo's the easiest place to get to, but Cleveland and Pittsburgh are easy to get to, too. They're
Hmm.
just a couple more hours.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I catch a lot of shows in Pittsburgh this year because there was nothing good anywhere else, which actually made me very happy because I found some great venues. One was in an old church. Saw Between the Buried and Me there.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Those are good guys.
I'm fucking glad they are. Like, they played my favorite album in its entirety, the Parallax 2 Future Sequence.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so that was a fantastic show, and Rivers from Nile opened up for him, and I love Rivers from Nile also. And
No-
at that show
Good.
is when I
Another
found
good
out
bunch.
they well, at that show is where I found out that they don't have their lead singer anymore. I'm like, why's the bass player singing?
Oh. Yeah. Well.
Some guy next to me had to tell me. I'm like, oh, okay.
Adam
Yeah.
wrote it all. Adam writes it all anyway. So when I heard, I was just like, sings half the set anyway, and he writes it
Well,
all. I'm sure it'll be fun. And it was.
I was confused because my girlfriend, who's not into heavy metal, but she just likes to follow me around things, she likes country. So she
Okay.
just wears earphones and like I'll hand her like some food and she'll just like eat and like enjoy herself. And like she says with the earphones in, like it sounds a lot like country. I'm like, well, they're both blues based, so that makes sense.
Hmm.
And she's like, I prefer the guy who's singing the clean vocals. I'm like, the bass player used to sing the clean vocals. What's going on here?
Or I mean, also the drummer does the cleans
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just like so confused. And somebody had to tell me, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Hmm. So okay, so what was the best show you saw this year?
Gojira, Mastodon, and Lorna Shore.
Oh, okay, cool.
And that those ones I think were probably close to $100 tickets.
Okay, with those three
But
bands, that makes sense.
yeah. But I also saw the Gojira Mastodon thing when they did it 10 years ago with Color
Okay.
Talk. That one was awesome too. But yeah,
Hmm.
this year I'd have to say Gojira and Mastodon with Lorna Shore. It's fantastic.
I actually didn't know they toured previously together.
Yeah, it was about 10 years ago.
Ah,
So they
the
did it
friends.
once, and then they came through Buffalo. They did it once, and then that tour was so successful they announced another run of it, and they came through all the places that they didn't hit because everyone was just like, "We really want to see it."
Oh, okay, cool. So it's just another leg, basically.
Yeah, but it
Okay.
was like the following year they did another leg
Okay. Yeah.
because it wasn't like, "Oh yeah, it's April now. What are we going to do for May?" It was like, "Well, we're already booked for May, so I guess we'll book one for next year."
Yeah. Take a little bit of time off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I really enjoyed that because Gojira was fantastic. Like,
They were such a good live band.
oh my
Actually, it's
god,
weird. Like I think Gorgira, like there's two bands come to mind that I think are better live than on recording. Gorgira is one of them, and Dying
definitely.
Fetus.
Yeah.
Dying Fetus is another one that I'm just like, man, they're just so like I just don't think that the energy is captured. It can't be captured on audio. Like just in the live setting, Gorgira and Dying Fetus like are just they're better than their albums.
I don't know about Dying Fetus because I haven't seen them live. Pretty sure they're coming to Buffalo soon.
They're worth I they're crazy. Like it's weird because I had or maybe it's that because I had seen them live before I ever listened to them on tape. But when I did listen to their albums, I'm like, man, this doesn't hold a candle to their live show.
I'm gonna have to check that out then because
Yeah, they're
this is
so
really
good.
strange. I don't like a lot of like traditional death metal.
Ah, okay,
Like I like some
that's
Cannibal
actually
Corpse songs, but like I don't know, like the new Cattle Decapitation, the last couple of cattle decapitations I've liked. Like
yeah,
I don't know what it is about them. They got like great groove, all that stuff. Fucking love them. They're phenomenal.
yeah.
But like the new Sanguisugabog, listen to that, and I'm like, I mean, I know it's technically proficient, it just does nothing for me.
I actually have never listened to that band. I've never been able
It's
to read their logo either. I've heard like obviously I've heard great things, but yeah, I've never heard them.
I
They're
mean,
like another old school old school throwback band, right?
yeah, they're one of them old school throwback death metal bands,
That's
and
cool.
they're technically proficient. They're really good. Like I sent it to like some of my friends that are like, they're into that. Like that's
Yeah.
their thing. I'm like, is this like I've heard good things about this. Like, yeah, this is really good. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
I,
cool.
I think I think we played a couple festivals with them, but we played on different days. So I never
Okay.
yeah. I think Milwaukee was
Milwaukee Metal Fest.
yeah. this
Okay.
past year. I think they played on a different day, but but good for them. They're like they got some hype around them, which is good.
So how hard is it to get hype as a new band?
I don't know.
You were in a band once.
I mean, timing is everything. Like sometimes it's just like they just they came out at the right time with the
Mhm.
old school death metal resurgence, and they just do it really well, and they're just riding that wave, and and people are just like loving them. It's great. I
Okay.
think there's a couple bands that are like Undeath and like Frozen Soul are kind of riding that wave too.
I just believe you on that one. I don't know them.
Which band?
I don't know either of them, Undeath or Frozen Soul.
Yeah, Undeath's really good. I like Undeath.
I'm actually really excited for next month, the new Job for a Cowboy and the new Sonic records.
The new job for Cowboys really really good.
The two songs that I've heard, I'm just stoked.
Yeah, no, the whole album is
Like,
really really good. Yeah.
you've heard it?
Oh yeah,
You have.
I play with the bass player in another group, and they were mixing it when we
Oh.
were in the studio doing our album, and yeah, I think I was like, I think the first song I was like, that's your first single that everybody heard, and they're like, really? I'm like, dude, that's it, and
Well,
so I
if
think
that's the Forever Rock, like, yeah, that is phenomenal.
yeah, it was such a good song. I was like, yep, that's it. So yeah, we toured with Job back in 2012, and
Yeah.
it was a really weird tour. It was super weird because it was called the End of the World tour. So it was like Job for Cowboy, and then Cephalic Carnage was direct support, and Cephalic Carnage are from Denver, where
Right.
Allegion's out of, and it was really funny because we knew each other, and we knew, obviously we knew of each other, but we hadn't really we played like a festival, but like on different days or whatever. And we haven't, but it was really interesting because the run was so like it was an awkward run because it was a genre mixed uh tour. So I'm trying to think who else it was. Oh, the band I Declare War was on it. I'm pretty sure they're still around and doing well. And then there was another band called Legion that opened, and they were like really deathcore. So it was just really like at the time, like the genre mixing tours did not do well. I think they do really really well today, but back in 2012 they did not do well. And I remember Job for a Cowboy hadn't put out uh they hadn't put out the Sun Eater yet,
Okay.
right? So they had just made the turn from being deathcore to death metal, right? And then Fall of Carnage obviously is like hydro grind death metal, and then a Legion,
Yes.
whatever the hell we are, mellow tech.
Just fantastic. That's what a Legion is.
Oh, I like you, Black Screen.
Listen, when Fragments of Form and Function first came out, my best friend, the guy who wrote you the thing initially, he just like me and him were in the Marines together. He's from Oregon. I'm from New York. Became friends in the Marine. Like he got me a job after the Marine Corps. This job that I'm still doing that he's not because he wanted to start a family. I don't
So
blame him.
I wish I could see the facial cues for that, because just coming out from a
Bastard.
black screen, it sounded so angry. He just
Bastard
wanted
wanted
to
to
start
start
a family.
a family. But anyways, he's just like, dude, you gotta check out this album. Pops that in. We listened to the whole thing while working. I'm like, put it on again. That was amazing.
Oh, dude,
And I'm
that's
like,
that's cool. That's really good to hear.
been a fan ever since.
Seems so long ago
I know.
that that Frags came out. it's hard to even remember. It was so many members ago too. Like,
I was actually looking at that. I was just like looking at the current lineup, and I was looking at like all the other lineups. I'm like I still think the funniest thing from one of the videos was in the one, I think it was the 1.618 video, when the
yeah.
old bass player Corey goes, "What the fuck is wrong with you guys? This is why they call us Allegaon," and I just died.
Yeah, it's so funny. I think we're gonna try to get Corey to cameo for our next album. He's
Yes.
gonna come in and do a video and just be like, "I'm glad I got out of this piece of shit band" or something like that. Just ridiculous. Yeah, because now with Ez, now that we got Ez back, I think we're gonna go back and have a little bit of fun again.
Yeah. Like
And
I liked that you brought in I like the guy you brought in after Ezra.
yeah,
Fucking
yeah,
blanking. I'm blanking
right,
on his name right now because I'm an
yeah,
idiot.
Riley,
But I
yeah,
liked what he did. Like
yeah.
I really liked Proponent for Sentience. Like I liked his vocals on there.
Hmm.
I liked Apoptosis. I don't know why Damnum didn't do anything for me,
Damn, dude.
but
The thing
I don't
about
know.
Damnum
It
is
was
so COVID.
oh
It was like such a reaction to COVID. That's like people either love it or they kind of just like it's kind of weird for them. And I'm just
yeah
like COVID played such a big part in that album. Like we had a whole bunch of people kill themselves like in our immediate like so like, it was such a weird time that like when we were writing that album there was so much weird shit. The world was weird, right?
yeah
And that album really reflects that time of just like things are weird. It's like, do we, it was kind of like, do we sing about science? Uh, I, it just seemed like such a weird, it was weird. Like, that's all I can say. I was like, I think I really enjoy the album, but knowing it's very different but like thinking back to the time, it was such a snapshot of like what was going on, not only just like in our lives, but the world at that point, that it was
yes
like obviously it had a huge impact upon us personally, and it's reflected in kind of in the music a little bit. So
that makes
I,
sense. That makes me feel
yeah,
better.
oh yeah. No, I totally get it. It was a a strange album to do, but one that I think a lot of people really appreciated. So it was
Mhm.
like really good in that case. I think there's a lot of therapeutic stuff on that album too, with us like dealing with grief in kind of an artistic way. Because, being musicians, sometimes we're not that good with words.
I come from the military side of things where it's like, hey, you have feelings about something? Well, here's a straw. You can suck it the fuck up, buddy. Get
Yeah,
back to
yeah,
work.
yeah,
Like, and then you come out, and I personally don't think I have a lot of problems, but there are guys that do, where it's just like you gotta like pull them aside and like give them like, bro, it's okay. Like you can tell me what's going on.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's just like so many, just a weird time. But here, but on the other side of it, here we are.
Yes. I must say, I think overall, I didn't have a bad COVID.
Really, that's
Yeah,
good, man.
mine.
That's really good.
Mine was like I stayed busy for work and picked up a new hobby because there was a rock climbing facility by the site I was working at in New Jersey, and I don't know, I just went to work.
That's cool. It was weird for me. Like I it canceled. Obviously, it canceled all our touring plans, which in
Yeah.
hindsight was probably really good because I think we were pretty burnt out.
Mhm.
We were road dogging it pretty hard, and I remember we had a tour. It was going to be a great tour. Fallujah was supporting us. I was like, who was supporting us on that? It was like uh, Entheos, Fallujah were supporting a Legion, and then I'm trying to think, Aetherius from Jersey, actually. They were opening, and it was going to be a
Nice.
great tour. It was going to be a great tour, but I will not lie. When that got canceled, I was kind of like, oh, good. Because I think I needed a break, man. Like, I was so tired. I was like, oh, this feels good. I did get trapped in Canada, though. I think they
Oh,
closed the
damn.
border on me, and I was here for 3 months, which was great. I got trapped with my wife now, but she was just my girlfriend at the time, and then
You better be trapped with.
yeah, no, it was actually great because I think it was like, oh, we could this is sick, this is awesome, we could totally this will like yeah, living together is no problem. We get along great. So yeah, that was really good. I mean, we like hell happened at home, and that obviously you know when you
Yep.
get back you have to deal with. But I mean, those lots of it was balanced for me, like the worst of the worst and the best of the best. I think, but
Yeah, I know what that's like. It was, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It was just one of those like, well, I still get to go to work. I know other people don't, but I do.
I work from home, so like since I teach guitar, I had no time off. I was just, but I actually say because I didn't have to go on tour and I just got to work, it was like phenomenal for my bank account.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, I don't have to go live in a van like and take an unpaid vacation, or it's not a vacation. I'm working every day playing.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to take a huge pay cut, you know. So that was
And trust me, I got it traveling for work, and people are like, oh man, you travel for work? That's so cool. I'm like, yeah. Would you like to see some of the places I've been?
I like touring, but it takes it's I like going to places. Like I love New York, right? I
The
love going
city or
to
the state?
both actually.
Okay.
I love New York City. Parking is a fucking nightmare, but
Yes, it
I
is.
love playing New York City. I'm like every time I get there, I'm like, prepare your pizza. I'm about to empty the city.
Sweet.
But
Also,
then
I'm 100% behind that policy.
yeah, dude, I'm like, oh, I would like look on the schedule and to see where New York City is, and then I'm like, okay, so if I fast that morning, I can pack more away by the time we leave, and then it's we always have that thing where it's like sometimes we like to if you don't have a far drive on the East Coast, it's like all the shows are close, but it's horrible because like there's nowhere to go to the bathroom, right? In New York City,
Oh,
right? You're in this, so it's like, am I going to pee in an alley? Which is like, I don't want to do that because that's just like that's one unlucky stop away from getting like a sex offender ticket,
yep, because that is one in New York State.
right? So what usually like you now what we'll do is if people are going to go party as soon as they get back to the van I drive us to Jersey and then and like go on the turnpike and then there's a rest stop for to
Yeah.
sleep, so that's cool. So it's like okay, now that I'm in my mid 40s and I have to get up 80 times a night to piss, I'm still allowed within a certain radius of schools, like um,
Yes.
Um, so that's as a it's what a horrible thing. Like I couldn't imagine. Like I just had to go. Like what am I supposed to do? But now, but this is a bad train of thought. We changed the subject.
I mean, if you really want to, we can talk about wet ass plutonium.
Oh, I can't talk much about it. I literally just help I help out Donnie by going to grab Big Macs when when he requests them, which is all the time, changes strings. basically I'm a executive assistant.
So,
that that when he's like,
since you're
hey,
a music teacher and Donnie's assistant to guitar, did you teach him guitar?
I can't I would
You can neither confirm nor deny.
I can't, dude. The amount of forms I have to sign,
God damn it.
I can't talk about it. But
I was really
they
hoping that they were gonna
they
do like a cover of Wet Ass Pussy with like words about nuclear arms deals, about wet ass plutonium and shit. Like,
they they have to at some point. I know they were trying to do a cover of Tears for Fears. Everybody wants to rule the world.
sweet.
They were trying to do that, and they were in talks with Devin Townsend, but
I
Devin got he's just like he was kind of interested,
love
but at the
Devin.
same time, Devin doesn't like to do guest features where he has to do vocals. Like if he gets to play guitar, I
Oh,
think he's okay. But yeah, I think he was. I was just like the only reason he'd want to do is the comedic aspect of how just silly it is.
yes.
But I think talking to his management, I could I had a feeling he didn't want to do it.
You
Which
know
is
what I'd
fine.
love
It was just like
for him to do, but I
crushed the
know he's not going to do again, is
strapping.
do a tour of Ziltoid.
Oh, that Dark Horse. I literally thought you were going to say strapping.
I mean, that one was good too, but so I came onto Ziltoid like years after it happened, and then I
Yeah,
found the video of him playing it live at the Royal Albert Hall, where like he did the entire Z2 with like the people dancing and the backup lady singer. I forgot her
yeah.
name too. And I'm like, that looks so fantastic. I'm sad I missed it
Do you
because it was like a
prefer?
whole tour.
Do you prefer Z1 or Z2?
Z1 got me hooked, but Z2 I think was a better story and instrumentals and vocals throughout because he
It
had the
was a real
operatic
band.
singer
Or not?
lady. Captain Fantastic's character, I think, was built better. Uh, yeah, I think overall Z2 was better.
Really, that's crazy to me because I think Z2 is is so nothing compared to Z1. I mean,
It's so much fun,
obviously,
though. They're
I
both
think
fun.
the production on Z2 is outrageously awesome.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like the songs are just not there. Z1,
Really?
like,
March of the Poozers doesn't do it for you?
I mean, it's okay, but it sounds to me, Z- Devin Townsend. I love Devin Townsend, but I think a lot of times he overextends himself.
Yeah, and he admits that.
And I know he does. And but like when those two albums sounded like it's like to me it was like there was just not enough material, good, like great material. I felt like most of the songs on there he could have left on the cutting room floor.
Huh.
Yeah, and his body of work speaks for itself. I mean, he's got so many amazing songs, but I also know his work ethic, and I feel like he did himself a disservice. So
If I had half of
that's
his work
probably a
ethic,
really like not an that's probably a very unpopular opinion, but
is there a such thing as a popular opinion when it comes to Devin Townsend, though?
yeah, he's awesome.
I think
I
that's
think
the only one.
like that's the popular opinion. We all love Devin.
How could you not? He even made a song called Love,
Yeah, about
which is,
dysfunction.
yeah, and it's one of the best songs in the world.
I love about that even the video is like a play on Evil Dead.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
that
I
was
I
fantastic.
love that.
Speaking of the Evil Dead, one of the coolest Evil Dead things I've ever seen, the Evil Dead musical.
Tell me more.
So my ex-wife found it in Cleveland, of all places. She's like, "Hey, there's a musical touring, and I think we should go see it. And I'm like, I don't want to go see a musical. She's like, it's The Evil Dead. I'm like, I'm in.
That sounds amazing. How like the music
The
was it
music was
like
good.
was it straight up like it's a musical?
Yeah, it
Because
was
that
straight up like a musical, but it was like really good. It was The Evil Dead. Like it was the Evil Dead storyline and all that.
yeah,
They didn't crudely throw in music. Like they put musical parts into there. Like when uh the vines come and like rape the lady.
yeah,
Like in my head, I was singing the Black Dahlia murders, raped in hatred by vines of thorn,
right,
but like they were singing something else, but I was singing that in my head because it just popped in and I couldn't stop myself.
right.
Uh, and who can blame me? But the entire thing, I must say, it was fantastic and fascinating. And the first two rows, which I did not get to sit into, were called the splatter zone. So they had like blood splatter, like a Guar show. And I'm like,
Wow, dude, that's
this is
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, I the best musical I ever went to was We Will Rock You, and it was like I went to see it in London, which was
Oh,
cool. But it was like Brian May was there, and he played the guitar,
damn.
right? And then it was actually written with Ben Ellis or Ben. No, not Ben Ellis. I love Ben Ellis. He's a guitar player. Not who am I trying to think of? Try. I can't remember, but like he wrote a whole bunch of British comedies, like The Young Ones and stuff like that. And even Nigel, who was in the Young Ones TV show, was in the musical that day. So I was so stoked. It was like all Queen's music, obviously, so you get to hear that. But then a member of Queen playing it, and then like one of my favorite like comedy writers wrote the whole thing with like you know guys from my one of my favorite British television shows in the music. It
That's
was great.
fantastic.
It was sick. It was
Yeah,
really cool in London, no less. So it felt ultra special.
that does make it Ultra Fest special. Did they have good snacks?
Sorry,
Did they have good snacks?
I don't. They had a champagne bar.
Wow. I guess that's
I remember
normal for
that
fancy
everybody's like
places, though.
drinking champagne and singing Queen.
Okay, that's just pretty cool. I mean, I don't even really like champagne, but
Yeah, I didn't. I don't. I'm not. I don't drink, so I didn't partake. But I thought that was neat. Like champagne bar and Queen. It
you don't
had
hear those
Admiral.
things hand in hand
Yeah.
often, ever. Yeah. Man, that's amazing. I would, yeah, I think I'd like to see that too. I don't know if I'd go all the way to England for it, but
Yeah.
I definitely would. Definitely watch it.
I don't even know how's that. I will look it up. I want to know if that's played on this side of the pond because I don't think I've ever seen it in the states.
Hold on, I'm looking it up for you. Jukebox musical based on the thing of Queen. Da, da, da. UK, Australia, Asia, Spain, Las Vegas, and North American tours and Broadway.
Okay. So did
Resident production at the Paris Las Vegas Hotel in Vegas began 4 August 2004.
okay. So it's probably long gone.
On October 23rd, 15 October 2013, a North American tour began in Maryland. And then
It was a very long time ago that I did see this.
New
No.
York City, they played 2019 on Broadway.
Okay. Well, it's worth the show.
Who knows? Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Drag my
Oh
friend and his
yeah.
wife to that.
If you like Queen, it's a fun story with all the music.
I like a bunch of random 80s things, not just Queen. So, 80s thrash, 80s sports cars.
Did you
Yeah.
live through the 80s?
I was born in the 80s. Does that count?
Yeah, that counts.
85. I mean,
Okay. The
yeah, but no. Yeah.
the year
Great
the
stuff.
year of Marty McFly.
Yes, I believe
That's
that was.
I remember 85 vividly.
Vividly, how old are you?
I was born in 78.
Okay.
78?
So you
79.
are
I don't know.
about
I was old enough to remember it vividly.
you are about my sister's age, so there you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
I'm the youngest of four, so they class me up into everything else. They're just like, yeah, you already know, don't worry. I'm like, okay, cool.
That's cool, man. Were your parents like all burnt out by the time you rolled through?
So they
Did
were
you get
really strict with my two oldest siblings, which is my oldest brother and my sister. And
Yeah.
then my brother, who's 2 years older than me, was an absolute hellion. And, I basically took the philosophy of I'm not going to sneak around. At this point, my dad was gone. And my mom was, working nights and just trying to like not let us kill ourselves. And I'm just like, told her blatantly what I planned on doing. She thought I was joking and it was funny, and she laughed about it because I just, made everything a joke in my life. And so I used that to my advantage. And then one day she caught on
No,
that I
okay.
was not joking.
Well, you were honest, right? So
I
she couldn't have
was.
been she couldn't have been upset at that.
She wasn't as mad as I thought she was going to be.
Dude, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
But
I always imagine when you have like a lot of older siblings, they get burnt out, and then the youngest ones get away with murder. But
according to my sister, yes. She's like, you
yeah,
got away with things that we would never even be close to getting away with. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to tell you. Thanks for laying the groundwork for me.
yeah, I know. Thanks. You know, that's great.
Yeah. I don't know. I had fun. But also, my oldest brother, uh, much like he was really good at guitar, um, it's actually why a lot of like the Spanish guitar playing parts in your guys' music, like that's why they fucking hit for me because
Oh,
he
cool.
played like Spanish guitar in Megadeth and Slayer.
Ah,
So like that's what I was raised on. I was just like listening to that at a young age. Someone
yeah,
else playing it and going, it's really cool.
same. Same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Classical guitar
so,
lessons and then 80s thrash.
oh,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my sister got me into like industrial, like Ministry and Nine Inch Nails.
Yep.
So
What's your
like,
favorite
yeah.
ministry
Psalm 69.
album? Good. That album is great. I would also accept The Mind is a terrible thing to taste, but
So I also really like the ones he did probably around 2005 to 2008, that trilogy of Rio Grande Blood, Houses of the Mole, I think was one, and there was another one. Fuck, what is it? But they were all about like anti-Bush, the Iraq War, and uh, just basic 9/11, like stuff like that. Because
okay.
basically Al got sober and super political around that time, and then but also started making really good music again.
Dude, that's cool. I honestly hadn't listened to anything that he did after Psalm 69. I don't it's
Yeah, I
not that
didn't
I
either.
it's not that I just didn't like it. It was just I I don't know. There's so much music in the world you can't always keep up. But then
Oh yeah,
I did hear one of the later stuff that he did. Like did he put out an album like 2014 or something like
I
that?
think he put one out within the last 5 years too.
Yeah, and I heard that, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." It was like really
Mhm.
good. So
Yeah, Rio Grande Blood. That one's a really good one.
yeah, okay. I'm gonna check that out. We were just out for New Year's here at the Metal Bar in Ottawa, and then they played uh, "Jesus Built My Hot Rod," and I was
It's such a great song.
yeah, it is a great song, and I was like, "Oh my god, I haven't heard this song in forever."
Yeah, that's one of those ones where you can, when your friends are in the know, you can just randomly start saying the words to it to them, and like no one else knows what you're talking about. You're like, ding, ding, dang, dang, long, ling. What the fuck are you guys doing? We're like, it ain't my fault. You're not cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you weren't there, you weren't there.
Yeah, no, it's so good. Now I want to listen to that. Damn it. I got myself all hyped up on Gojira and Lamb of God for this. Now I want to listen to Ministry.
There you go. It's a weird world.
But it's also a really awesome world.
It has its perks.
Yeah, it really does. So I saw on your guys' Instagram that you want to see everyone on tour this year. What is that supposed to mean? Is this a big announcement I'm not allowed to know yet? Because I'm super excited by those words.
We're supposed. Say that again.
So your guys' Instagram for Allegiant,
Mm-hmm.
it said, "We can't wait to see you all on tour this year." When's the announcement for that coming?
Dude, we're waiting. We're waiting.
Ah,
It's supposed to happen in April and May, and
sweet.
it's we will be opening. So it like very
Damn it,
excited.
that's not enough time.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not, but the fact that we're opening means that it's a pretty big tour, at least for us. So
That's a
I'm
good point. I
super
didn't think of
excited.
that.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm hoping it goes through. I'm everybody and their mother is out during this time, so
Mhm.
I'm really hoping things go the way we're hoping they're gonna go. Because
All right, well, if you come to Buffalo, Cleveland, or Pittsburgh, I'll go.
hell yeah, hell yeah. Well, I think that definitely one of those is on the routing that I've seen.
They
But
usually are.
yeah,
Buffalo hasn't been the last couple of years, but Dying Fetus is coming to Buffalo in April. Pretty sure it's Dying Fetus.
I'm trying to
Because,
think out, I know Allegiance played Buffalo a handful of times. Actually, I remember one we played that end of the world tour Job for Cowboy. I remember
yeah.
we played Buffalo. I remember it like the back of my hand because I think it might have been the last show of the tour, and literally it was so fucking cold. It
That
didn't have heat like in the building. And I was just like,
sounds
what
like
the
that.
fuck? And I'm trying to warm up and I have like gloves on, like behind the stage. There wasn't a green room. There was just like this concrete hallway, like behind the stage. And I remember Tony from Job walked by and he said something. And Tony's like a huge monster of a man. Looks like he could eat me.
Right.
and yeah, that was that. And I remember that because it was the first time I talked to Tony. That definitely wasn't the last show. The last show was in Maryland. Okay, but I remember because it was so cold. But it was the first time I talked to Tony, and it was such a short tour that we didn't really get to hang. We didn't like got to break. We didn't really get to buddy with any of the bands because it was so short. So by the end of the tour, it was like we were just getting to know one another, and yeah, it was kind of a bummer. But
What
that tour was
theater was that at in
so
Buffalo?
weird. That was 2012.
Yeah, but what
That
theater was that at in Buffalo?
I don't remember.
Was it
It was
Shays?
it was a cool venue. I remember it was a cool venue because it looked like it. The club had so much charisma, right? It
Mhm.
looked like a hole in the wall. Like
Nah, that probably
it was
wouldn't have been Mohawk Place then.
a cool venue to play metal in. Like I dug
Yeah.
it because it had the vibe of like I will do well here. This will be a good show, and it was. It was fantastic. Um, but yeah, God, it was so cold. I I remember that tour like between Buffalo and playing Worcester, Massachusetts, I don't think I'd ever been that cold. I lived in Anchorage for a while, but Massachusetts and Buffalo on that
The
tour.
thing they don't tell you is that Buffalo is just as windy or more windy than Chicago
Yeah,
because it's right on that end of
the Great
Lake
Lakes.
Erie,
Yeah.
and the jet stream comes straight across Lake Erie, nothing fucking stopping it.
Yeah. Oh man, that was the way. I just remember
Yeah.
like sitting there trying to warm up and going fuck it, and then just started doing sit-ups just to keep blood like moving in my body.
Yes, I've been there.
Yeah, just like I don't know how we're gonna play, but but just move. And I remember just yelling at Corey, forcing him to run up steps. I was like, go, we're gonna die, just go. Just go! Just like hitting him in the back. Like,
I'm
we
starting to
gotta keep
understand why he
moving.
left the band now.
Corey. Well, Corey wanted
I'm
to.
joking.
Oh, you're sad he left the band. You're joking he left the band.
No, I'm understanding why he left the band. By the way, I'm joking. Just to let you
Oh,
know.
oh no. He wanted to be. It's so funny. Like his time at Allegiant was so educational in how people can take advantage of artists that he was like, I'm going to go into entertainment law. So he quit Allegiant to become a lawyer, to be an entertainment
Really?
lawyer. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. I was like, so you're going to represent us for free. Right. And he's like, fuck no, you're going to pay more. So yeah. And then I don't know. I talked to him not too long ago. But yeah, I think he's still working on law school stuff. So
Nice. Good for him.
yeah,
That's
but
fantastic.
yeah, it was cool to like he found his what he thought he was meant to do in Allegiant. If it's not playing music, it's good that he got that path. So good. It was sad to see him go, but it was like at
Good for
least he
you.
left on such good like positive terms.
Well, now you can like say things the way I say things about my best friend. He wanted to go be a lawyer.
He wanted to go be a lawyer.
Who wants to be a lawyer?
People that like to argue.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
He
I know
was
some people that'd be
an
great at it then.
amazing. He could charm. He was one of the most complainy, charismatic guys I've ever met. Usually, people if they complain all the time, they wear you down. He would just like
Yes.
complain and completely make you crack up. Like he was just so miserable all the time, and it was hilarious.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, I need more people like that in my life.
yeah.
People that I have that complain just complain and it's not even fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm probably guilty of that. I know I've seen it. I'm like, get self-improvement. Self-improvement. This is one of the things I need to work on. Stop being so negative. It's fine.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like I could do that too, but also I have a problem that some people have described as uh, no matter what's happening, I'm gonna go, yeah, but at least it's not doing this.
Oh right. See, but I think that's a good trait, right?
It is,
Yeah.
but it can be annoying to very pessimistic people.
Hey, you know what? At least I'm not being stabbed right now.
This is true. And if you're comparing this conversation to being stabbed, I'm doing good or not. I don't know.
I know as soon as I said that, I was like, well, that was not that sounded like you were putting down what we were doing, but no.
Yeah, but also, I've had worse things said to me.
No, yeah, but I wasn't. It was
I
completely
know.
innocent.
It's all love here, my man. It's all love here. I
Yeah.
don't give a shit.
Okay. Well, sir,
Uh,
I'm probably gonna have to get rolling here in a
all
sec.
right. Sounds good. Well, hey, thank you for coming on and letting me waste an hour and 15 minutes of your time. And
Well,
if you
hopefully
ever,
it's entertainment to people watching.
Oh, definitely will be.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the real test is it's going to be educational and informative
that's right. How many
because those are
Canadians
our.
die a year by cow attacks?
That's right. And if people don't understand the plight of the Canadian cow farmer, then we've really failed here today.
That's right. That's the takeaway from this talk.
I mean, all they got to live for is Labatt Blue, maybe Molson Canadian if they live in Quebec, and swearing at those six teams that haven't won a Stanley Cup and keep losing them to Tampa.
Tabernacle.
Fuck.